This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for 17 News at Noon. I'm Nicole Gitsky. We begin with a newly filed lawsuit alleging a freshman at the time at Bakersfield High School sexually abused a classmate in 2019 during class, with the teacher standing at most 15 feet away. Now, attorney Daniel Rodriguez filed the suit against the Kern High School district, saying administrators and teachers failed to supervise or take adequate precautions against the teen boy. Rodriguez says the 14-year-old was also accused of sexually abusing 3 other female students in the classroom.
Typically, these sexual assaults on school campuses take place at the number one location is the bathroom or some other place that's hidden from view. What makes this case different is that this sexual assault took place in broad daylight in a classroom full of students.
It's alleged the boy groped the girls over their clothing, but there is also believed to have been one case of skin-on-skin contact. Rodriguez says the 14-year-old pleaded no contest to criminal charges filed in connection with 3 of the alleged victims. The suit alleges general negligence and negligent infliction of emotional distress and seeks damages in an amount to be proven at trial. Now, 17 News has reached out to the district for comment, but has not heard back yet as of news time. Now to promising news on the French fire burning across the Kern River Valley as firefighters continue to gain more control of the blaze. The fire has burned more than 25,000 acres and is now 40% contained. More than 1,400 firefighters are working on the French fire. Evacuation orders are beginning to be downgraded to evacuation warnings in multiple communities. And firefighters are watching right now. They are saying that today could be a fire hazard condition, just with wind speeds and also with the temperatures as well. And as a reminder, you can see all of our coverage of the French fire, including those minute-to-minute updates on evacuation orders and shelters. Just head to our website, kget.com. Meantime, the Caldor fire is growing quickly and now threatening Lake Tahoe. Thousands of homeowners and tourists in the area are now being evacuated. The fast-moving fire, driven by gusty winds, is closing in on the famed California resort town, threatened to wipe out more than 20,000 homes. Firefighters are struggling as powerful red flag winds are pushing the fire's eastern front into Tahoe with wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. The fire is nearing 200,000 acres and is only 16% contained at this time. And the U.S. Forest Service is temporarily closing all California national forests as a public safety precaution due to the wildfires. The agency says in an effort to keep the public and firefighters safe, all national forests in the state will close starting just before midnight. Now, the closure will last until September 17th. Officials say they do not take the decision lightly, especially since the Labor Day holiday is coming up this weekend, where many people usually spend time in nature. Well, California lawmakers will not consider a sweeping coronavirus vaccine mandate this year. With less than 2 weeks remaining in the legislative session, Assemblymember Buffy Wicks of Oakland said yesterday that she would not pursue a bill to create a vaccine or test requirement for every California worker. Her decision also applies to proof of vaccination for bars, restaurants, and entertainment venues. The provision for workplaces came close to being completed, Wicks said, but there was not enough time to fully develop the details, including who would pay for testing for employees who are not vaccinated. Wicks noted the proposal could return with the legislation when legislators reconvene in January. Meantime, State Senator Shannon Grove is speaking out about potential vaccine requirements. She issued the following statement yesterday. It reads in part, "Let me be clear. I will under no circumstance support any bill that mandates vaccine passports. I am 100% supportive of people making their own vaccine choices, and government must respect their private right to make those decisions without coercion or punitive action." And a new survey suggests COVID vaccine hesitancy is declining. Now, this new poll, which was conducted over the past few days, included nearly 1,100 adults. 70% said they had already gotten the vaccine, and 8% said they planned to get it. Now, the remaining 20% said they were unlikely to get the vaccine, but that number is down 3% from just 2 weeks ago. The poll also showed the number of parents who plan to get their younger children vaccinated as soon as it's allowed grew by 12% over the past 2 weeks. Experts say vaccine mandates are the biggest driver of the increase, along with FDA approval of the vaccine and the strength of the Delta variant. Meantime, the number of new cases of COVID-19 in kids continues to grow. According to the latest data from the American Academy of Pediatrics, roughly 204,000 new pediatric cases were reported last week. The experts say this marks the second week with child cases at the level of the winter surge. The data also shows that children represented 22.4% of weekly cases. Now, here at home, Kern County is not out of the woods when it comes to COVID-19. Public Health releasing the latest data this morning with 511 new cases being reported, along with 3 deaths. On average, 462 people are testing positive for the virus every day in Kern County. August has become our deadliest month since April, when vaccines weren't widely available. By our count, at least 96 people have died since vaccines became available to everyone. Currently, nearly 46% of those eligible for vaccines in Kern County have been fully vaccinated. Public Health says in the past 3 weeks alone, there has been a 32.5% increase in first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine administered. And remember, those 12 and older who want a vaccine can make an appointment for all local vaccination sites by heading to myturn.ca.gov.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Well, tomorrow the Bakersfield City Council will take up a controversial anti-camping ordinance. Now, you may remember last month when the Los Angeles City Council passed a sweeping anti-camping measure to move widespread homeless encampments across the city. The measure was billed as a compassionate approach to get people off streets and restore access to public spaces, though critics say it criminalizes homelessness. A presentation on the issue is scheduled to happen during tomorrow's meeting, along with an update on the Brundage Lane Navigation Center. And the council is expected to approve a resolution tomorrow to build a memorial honoring Kern County's World War II veterans and those who served in other roles during the war. The resolution was proposed by the Kern County World War II Veterans Memorial nonprofit organization. It seeks to build a new memorial at Gastro Park on Truxton Avenue. The nonprofit says it will cover all expenses of designing and building the memorial. Meantime, today, local activist group The Next Steps is inviting community members to a vigil to raise awareness of gang violence. The group is holding the event from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Liberty Bell in downtown Bakersfield. Event organizers say it will be a night promoting hope and justice, giving support to victims of violence and their families. Survivors will speak at the vigil, along with officials like District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer and several other advocacy groups. Now to a growing problem, young people addicted to online gaming. It's a big problem here in the U.S. and an even bigger problem in China, which just announced it is shutting down all online gaming to teenagers on school days. NBC's Tom Costello has reported on this problem for years, and the Chinese government thinks this is a serious health threat.
It's happening in virtually every developed country in the world. Young people, usually boys, unable to walk away from online video games. It could be Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Minecraft, the list is long, as kids sacrifice family, friends, school, even sleep. For years, China has sent teens to addiction recovery centers. Now it's setting tough new rules for minors 17 and younger, banning online video games on school days, Monday through Thursday. Only 1 hour a day on Fridays, weekends, and holidays. And every gamer must register with an anti-addiction center.
That kind of mandate would not work here in the United States, period, full stop.
But, says Jim Steyer, it's a sign of how serious the problem has become.
That was a beautiful shot.
With few friends around during COVID, 15-year-old James Reichert in Colorado turned to his Xbox for online gaming.
But I got a weekly report and it said he'd been on for like 40 hours.
Now his parents have had to set limits.
He has to have his homework done and his chores, as well as maintain a 3.0 or higher grade point average. So then we will basically unlock the Xbox so he can play, because we're able to pause the Wi-Fi to it.
They make us feel really engaged.
Even a Harvard psychiatrist says he too was a gaming addict once.
I grew up playing video games, played a lot of video games when I was in middle school and high school, and almost failed out of college for playing too many video games.
Now, Dr. Alok Kanoja runs the Healthy Gamer Mental Health Platform. He estimates 10% of teenage gamers are addicted. Often, the addiction hides low self-esteem issues.
They have difficulty with social interactions, which then just gets worse the more that they play games. That a lot of times video games serve as an escape to something else.
The gaming industry tells NBC News it supports digital wellness, adding nearly all video game devices offer parental controls, which allow them to set time limits. Common Sense Media says it's time for a national PSA push, teaching teens and parents of the dangers of too much online gaming.
At Common Sense, we strongly recommend a public awareness campaign around video game usage that's similar to what we did with kids and tobacco and smoking.
A campaign to wean kids off of their online addiction.
Now, experts say part of the addiction is that feeling of triumph when you win a game or defeat a villain, and that triggers a dopamine reaction in the brain that is similar to what you experience when you have success in sports or socially. Now, what do experts tell parents to do if their child is showing signs of addiction? They say recognize that there may be much more at play here. Insecurities, unable to socialize or make friends, maybe poor grades, so the gaming is a symptom of some deeper problems. Finally, here at noon, wrestling fans rejoice. The World Wrestling Entertainment Super Show is coming to Bakersfield. Now, the Super Show features wrestling favorites from Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. It's happening October 10th at Mechanics Bank Arena. The show starts at 7 p.m. and tickets went on sale this morning at AXS.com. Tickets range from $20 to $95. The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.